Do you give other people labels? For example, that person is attractive, that person is smart, that person is bad, that person is cute, and whatnot. I did my fair share of videos about labels, and today is another video from the same category. And today I want to touch the topic of interaction with people based on these labels, and specifically that we don't listen to people based on their labels. More about that in a moment. But obviously, before we begin, I have to tell you that this is Yury Experience, and here I share my various experiences about different topics. I do 2 videos per week, Mondays and Thursdays. If you will enjoy this video, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. Let's go. So what is a label? Very short, because I did a couple of videos about that already. Label is something like a description about a person based on belonging that person to different groups, being it social groups, economical groups, or maybe even some biological groups. It all depends on what label we are talking about. There are social labels, biological labels, whatnot. And in my personal opinion, we use labels a lot. In my personal opinion also, we shall not interact with people only based on their labels, but we do use these labels. And also there is an influence of society on this label giving, but it all I already covered. What I want to touch upon today is the fact that if a person has some bad label to them, something that we consider to be bad, some bad or maybe even evil quality, then we don't listen to the opinion of that person. And it doesn't matter where that label came from. It doesn't matter who defined that label. It doesn't matter what topic we are talking about, what topic that person tries to share their opinion about. No, as soon as that person is labeled bad, and it doesn't matter what we define as bad in this specific occasion, that person's opinion or knowledge becomes not valuable anymore. And obviously I can understand kinda if that label of the person has something to do with the topic of the conversation. I will provide a couple of examples in a moment, but like more general example, we have a person with a bad societal label, and that person's opinion about societal issues is obviously biased, it's obviously subjective. But it doesn't mean that that person doesn't have great scientific opinions or maybe great like biological opinions. There are a lot, there's always a lot to a person, not only that specific bad label. As promised, examples. Example number 1, arrogance. There are a hell lot of arrogant people in the world, it's no surprise. And arrogance can be assigned to different groups. It can be societal arrogance, for example, that person belongs to a better class, or that person has a higher societal status, or we have biological arrogance, for example, that person is stronger or faster than most other people, and obviously that person uses these qualities in order to insult other people, in order to feel themselves better and to show that they are better than others. And then we have different questions that arise from that arrogance of a person. Question number 1, is that person actually better than other people? Obviously, arrogant behavior is something that we don't like in society, that we don't like on a personal level. It is understandable, but if that person is not only arrogant but also has something to back it up, then basically opinion of that person would not be not valuable anymore. That person's knowledge would be valuable, that person's opinion and experience would be valuable. Yes, you can obviously hate that person for being an arrogant person, but you cannot just throw away that person's opinion because you don't like the person. Knowledge actually is not connected to the quality of a person. And then the question number 2, if we are not talking about the topic of interest, if we are not talking about the topic where the person is arrogant or has the right to be arrogant, if you want to call it like that, then is the opinion of that person about this foreign topic, is it valuable? It doesn't make sense. Is it logical? Yes, that person can be arrogant about being the, I don't know, strongest person in the world, I don't know, but that person has perfect knowledge about ant science. Science about ants, how ants live, how ants interact with each other and whatnot. Obviously, this knowledge doesn't make this person better. If that person is arrogant, then probably that person is not very nice to others. But on the other hand, opinion and knowledge of that person about ants is valuable. that person is specialist in the field. And only when we go away from this field of experience of that person, field of knowledge of that person, there I would agree with you. The arrogance of that person can and probably shall influence your understanding or your listening to opinion of that person. Because starting from that point, that person just becomes a human being providing an opinion, and what we do on a lot of occasions, we listen to opinion based on how can we associate ourselves with that person. And a hell lot of people cannot associate themselves with arrogant people. But what a lot of people forget, in my personal opinion, is to separate these two fields. The field of where the person knows what that person is talking about, and where the person is just sharing that person's opinion about a separate topic. Because first one, it doesn't matter that the person is arrogant. Knowledge doesn't care of which mouth it comes out. If that knowledge is qualitative knowledge, then it is still a qualitative knowledge. I hope it makes sense. Now we go to a different label, racism. Some person is a racist person, and here obviously being racist doesn't provide you field of knowledge. It doesn't provide you some field of information where you are specialist in. But you can be specialist in some field and be a racist person. You can be best rocket science person in the world and hate black people or Indian people or white people. I don't care. It's not the thing for me to consider. And the point is, it makes sense to listen to that person when we are talking about rocket science. It just makes sense. That person does have actual knowledge and experience and maybe opinions of other people to share with you. And in my personal opinion, we can listen to opinions of that person on other issues similarly as if that person wouldn't be racist. With one obvious exception: if we are talking about social politics, if we are talking about topics connected to race or ethnicity, then that person is probably not the first conversational partner or not the person opinion of whom you would consider to be valuable. So here we have three fields. We have a possible field of knowledge, we have a possible field where that person is a specialist, we have a field of general knowledge, and we have a field of knowledge where that person is clearly biased to. And in my personal opinion, we shall separate these three fields one from each other. And it is something that we, in my personal opinion, again, don't do a lot. Do I think that it is possible to implement this idea in real world completely on all levels? No, I don't think so. I don't think that people care that much. I don't think that people have time and have energy to try to understand, is that person knowledgeable in a field, is that person not knowledgeable in the field. We just like to push and throw a bad label, and that person has to deal with it. And I'm not better than you, I do it too. And even though labels are misused on a lot of occasions, even though we throw labels sometimes without actually knowing the person, it is something that on a lot of occasions sticks to that person and leads to other people not considering that person's opinion as valuable, that person's opinion or knowledge as something that is and can be used by others. And basically we had that throughout history. On a lot of occasions, different scientists or popular people who did big developments for the world, they were not considered good people during that time, and sometimes they are not considered good people now. We look a little bit down upon them because we have better ethical values, which I consider full bullshit, but it is a different topic. But even though a lot of life-changing, knowledge-changing, universe-understanding changing people in the past were racist, were homophobic, were not tolerant in any definition of tolerance, their knowledge and their experience was useful, did prove to be useful. We managed to use this wisdom and become better as the universe, or as Earth people, as people on Earth, yeah. That is why I would suggest you not to throw other person's opinion away just because there's a label on that person that describes that person as bad. Knowledge doesn't care, as I already mentioned, knowledge doesn't care from which mouth it comes out of. If that knowledge is good knowledge, then we should probably listen. Maybe ignore the person, but listen to the knowledge. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If it is the case, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. You can also leave a comment. You can also leave a like. Do what you want. And I see you on Thursday. Have a great week.